Hey, we're sitting here with Bobby Rahal, defending owner of the defending race champion of the Indianapolis 500, two-time winner as a team owner of the Indianapolis 500, going back to Buddy Rice in 2004, and then of course 1986. You made history in all kinds of ways by winning the 1986 Indianapolis 500, a victory to put you on the map. But Bobby, what's it like sitting here on the eve of the 2021 Indy 500? Who thought this would ever happen? But as the king of the hill, the man that's got to get knocked off.
Well, first off, I'll tell you, it's a lot. The atmosphere is a lot better than it was last August, and there's nobody here. And you know, this year is interesting. I was driving in this morning, and there's all kinds of people lined up, and you know, parking lots are filling up, and it's like, yeah, this is good. This is the way it's supposed to be. You know, for us, you know, to win the race again last year with Takuma was a tremendous. You know, it was really, you know, and then Graham finishing first and third. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And so, very proud, very. You know, it just, you know, you work hard. Everybody works, you know, their butts off for this, and then when you achieve it, it's just so satisfying, and so it kind of empowers you. And when I say you, I mean our team, all the people in it, empowers you to continue to, you know, how do we do it again? How do we make it better? You know, and as a team, you know, you're always. It was really a different team than one in 2004.
Yeah.
This was a newer team, right? And you know, so you hadn't won that 500, and really a lot of people would say that you really haven't proven yourself as a team until you do. And regardless of how many other races you might win.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was, after that win, it was like, okay, you know, we belong. You know?
But not only that, but like Takuma Sato was talking about, the man who won the race in the cockpit, y'all won that properly. I mean, y'all, y'all improved this car, and then at the end of the race, he's the guy.
He was the fastest car.
Yeah,
and
there's a satisfaction to that, right?
Absolutely. And you know, we had a good month anyway. You know, Graham qualified a little further back than Takuma, and dropped back a little bit to start, but then fought his way to the front. So we had good pit stops on all fronts, and you know, that's what you got to have. As I was saying to somebody the other day, you know, everything has got to work. Yeah, you can't. You don't luck into Indy 500 wins. You put yourself in a position that if something happens, you take advantage of that. But you just can't go out there and cruise around and luck into it. You know, you know, I know there was a lot of complaining by the team that we beat about, you know, they were going to run out of fuel and, you know, all this other stuff. Well, we weren't, right? And that's because we did the job. And so that makes it super satisfying and something that you're very proud of.
But no, like you're talking about, y'all were poised, really, because Graham was fuel mileage in there at the end. He was poised to make a run had it not been for the late yellow. I mean
if there had been a restart, who knows who would have won.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And I would tell you, I would think maybe being third in that line might have been the place to be, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's what he talked about.
Yeah. So
the fat lady, which is the Indy 500.
But we were there.
Yeah.
Both of our cars were there at you know, as I mentioned to somebody today in an interview. You know, the whole idea you finally learn in this race is you drive 450 miles to get in the position to win the race, and then you start racing. You know, and when you're young, you don't really realize that. You think it has to be won in the first 20 laps, and of course it never is. So. You know, you wake up to that, and so yeah, I think we've you know, it was very an amazingly satisfying win. It was also amazingly satisfying for me because Mike Lanigan, my partner, had been involved in IndyCar racing for close to 30 years, and their dream was to win the 500, their family. And finally do that, and you know, his brother just passed away a week ago, to see the smile on Mike's face, Jack's face, the one who passed away, Bill. I mean, the whole family was just like, okay, it's all been worth it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was cool.
Dude, I'm not trying to be almost morbid, but you saw the same satisfying look on Jim Truman's face in 1986. Of course, he passed away, 10, 11 days after that race. But as you look back, I mean, there's so many kind of anniversaries this year for you. 35 years since your win here in 19, one of the stirring moments. I get goosebumps bringing it up again. Passing Kevin, as AJ Foyt called him, Kevin Coogan, with a restart with 2 laps to go, with Rick Mears third. Talk about legitimate victory. You know what I mean? It's 40 years since you got into IndyCar racing as a driver and then as an owner. And this is the 20th season for the team that you went out on a limb and bought. I remember those days, but which of those just stands out in your brain right now is like the most significant of our anniversary?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't really realize all these anniversaries, until Robin Miller brought it up, you brought it up. I go, it has been. I mean, it was just. It's like, okay, and I'm not that I'm superstitious, but usually a lot of good things happen on your anniversaries, right? So, I don't know. I mean, what's the greatest moment? All those, well, of course, winning the 500. That was for me as a driver that changes your life, professionally and personally. Having said that. Winning with Buddy Rice in 04, the first win for Honda. After we brought Honda in, and then we made the mistake of leaving them, and all these other teams that had tried to keep Honda from getting in the series, and ended up benefiting from Honda being in the series. Then being asked to come back by Honda, which I never thought would happen.
Which, by the way,
and then to win their first race, their first 500.
And that was the 10th year after '94 when you brought Honda back here, and in 2004,
I guess I would tell you a lot of them were satisfying for their own. You could find a unique reason why each one was the best, and so it's always hard to pick and choose, but clearly you can take each one and say this was important because of this or this or this. So.
Has this team ever been better on stronger legs than it is now from a financial standpoint or whatever? Is this just the fruits of like you and your group working and also having
working
results?
And over the years investing, bringing people in, and sometimes especially engineers bringing people in. We were probably over-engineered. For a team, at one point when we were just a one-car team, we probably had more engineers than we really needed. But if you can get great people, and you have a chance to get them, you get them. So with Mike, David, the ability, their willingness to continue to invest and see the big picture, see where we wanted to go. Much of the success that we're having now happened 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And so that makes it very satisfying.
You basically are, we all know, people who follow me, follow you, know about you basically getting into IndyCar racing there in Hilliard with Jim Truman. You moved into his headquarters in '93, the second year that you had bought a team, inherited that. But then, several years ago, you decided to take the IndyCar team over here to the Brownsburg, Indiana area. I think you're moving the sports car team. You're building a nice, new, huge headquarters in Zionsville. Do you miss Columbus area much? I know you do. I mean, you've got roots there.
I mean, one of my daughters still lives in Columbus. I lived in Columbus from 1981 to 2010. Long time. And I always enjoyed it. Columbus is a great city, great area. The reality, what kind of forces your hand in racing is the talent is here in Indianapolis for IndyCar racing. If you're in NASCAR, you're in Charlotte. If you're in IndyCar, you're here. And And it used to be that we were in Columbus, and Paul Newman's team was in Chicago, and Roger Penske's team was in Pennsylvania, and you had guys with teams based in California. I mean, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then probably in the early 2000s, everything started, coming to Indy. So the decision to really build here was made more on the realities of the sport than anything else.
Yeah.
And of course, Indiana as a state is very proactive in making tax incentives and what have you to attract all Delara, all these people. So but no, Columbus. I mean, we talked to Graham. His hometown's New Albany. His football team's Ohio State.
Yeah.
My kids are pretty much born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. So it's still a very important place.
Last couple of things. Of course, you want to see your kid win the Indianapolis 500, and he's come close a few times.
Yeah.
He seems to have a knack. If things are going, the car's right, whatever, he seems to have a knack to get toward the front and stuff. What is your encouragement, your advice, whatever? What would you say to him? Just keep hammering? I mean, is that to build a house? You got to keep hammering. I mean, what?
Well, I don't really.
Is there?
I don't give him too much direction anymore because, frankly, he doesn't need my direction. Graham is a smart guy, and he's really seen in the last several years. He's still young, but he's really understood in the last several years what it is you have to do to try to win this race. And we've had he's had good finishes. Several thirds, fifth. Led the race, and there's not much I can really tell him. He knows what to do. So, and I just I'm so he's a guy also that really knows what he wants in his car, and he's a guy that if there's an issue at the start, he doesn't give up. We saw that this last 2 weeks ago. Maybe one of the best races we've ever driven. So. He knows how to win. So I just sit and watch and admire him.
All right, I'm getting the hook here, but I want to ask you one last thing. You see doing this ad infinitum? I mean, what's I mean, you kind of got the thing going better than ever.
But, what am I going to do? Racing in cars has been my life, and I'm not the kind of person to go sit on a beach and read books. So, they're going to carry me feet first out of one of these racetracks.